Welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be taking a look at two things. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the new game setup process, and that section will be part tutorial, part looking at the changes as part of the new waste update, which is currently in the beta test branch in Steam. And then in the second part we'll do a very quick overview of what is available and what you need to think about when you actually start the new update in realistic mode. And for anyone who's following the channel in general, this is part of the process of where I'm getting my head around the various elements of the new update. And I think that's about it, guys. So what we're going to do is just jump straight in. You're going to click new game, of course, and the first thing you're presented with is a map selection process. I think we're going to play on a random map just for the fun of it. Now, what we got here is the new layout screen, and probably if you've played the game before, the biggest thing that will catch your attention will be the fact we've now got icons down the left-hand side of the selection process. Now, for anyone who's new to the game, one thing you don't want to do is play on a populated map for when you play random. Populated maps sound good, but they can introduce a lot of management problems, which is not particularly very good. Now, if you look at this, what you'll see is we cross the top here, we got overall difficulty. Now this is slightly misleading because in this game there are some difficulty settings, but really the level that you select across the top here relates to which of the overall mechanics that you will enable. So if we start very easy, that's, you can see it's basically unlimited money and nothing switched. And to be honest, even if you just bought the game 2 hours ago, never play on very easy. Same with easy. There's certain mechanics which you want to play even from the big get-go, because effectively you're wasting your time. And so the next one up is easy. Now, as you can see, the money's moved forward. Now, if you play on easy mode, what you get is 10 million rubles and $2 million starter cash, because this game has two currencies. And again, even if you're completely new to the game, I would not recommend playing on easy. In fact, the lowest setting I would recommend is actually medium. Now, the money for medium, I'm pretty sure has changed, because I've just done a check, and what you get now is just over 4 million. In fact, you get 4 million and 85 rubles and $1.292, which seems a bit odd. I'm pretty sure it used to be something like 3.5 and 1 or something, but don't quote me on that, guys, because it's a very long time since I've ever played on medium settings. But for anyone who's new to the game, what you'll see is that the settings that get down here are related to the basic settings for the game. In fact, I would even go any further if I was playing on medium and actually say put on building vehicles. This is the element of customization that you can do. But I'm not going to go through the customization of medium, but I would certainly say that maybe if you're playing on medium difficulty, you will play with buildings and vehicles enabled. Maybe drop the fires down a little bit. Traffic simulation, I would certainly turn that on, because that can actually make the game a little bit easier by having it on. And it's not that difficult, to be honest. And then, of course, at the bottom here, you get the ability to select what year you start. But I'll talk a bit more about that in a while. Now, the next level up is actually hard. Now, hard difficulty used to be the highest difficulty. Now, quite oddly, if you play on hard now, your starting cash is 1.32 million rubles and $660,000, which I think originally it used to be 1 million rubles and $500,000. But of course, this was originally the top level of difficulty. And what you can see here is that all the options are now enabled across the board. And the only thing that isn't enabled, which is a bit odd, which is this waste and demolition. It says people and factories will produce waste, demolition with demolition office. Now, down here it says, when you've got ordinary waste enabled, it says people and factories will produce waste. So effectively this tab here, which is not actually switched on for hard, says that you've got to do demolition. And quite interesting, if you go to realistic, what you will find now is that's enabled. The important thing to be aware of, if you don't know what realistic mode is, realistic mode has a lot of additional restrictions, such as you have to build everything manually. You can only buy vehicles on the border, and there are even restrictions on the border And so it's a lot more complex game, where hard, you've got a little bit more leeway. Say, for example, you don't want to play realistic, but you want to play with demolition. What you can do is actually this, which means that you can play on hard level money with actually waste and demolition enabled. So this game is very flexible when you set things up. But we're going to click on realistic mode here. Now, what I will say is the starting money for realistic mode is actually more than hard mode, and that seems a bit odd. So truthfully, even if you wanted to play hard mode and you didn't want to do demolition, you could just switch that off and put that back on. Use that. You go there. Can't switch that off. You can't change things. Oh, that's a new one. Can we change the money? Yeah, you can change the money, but if you're on realistic mode, you can't remove that. So you'd have to go to hard. So you can't get the extra money. Now, the money you will get when starting on realistic mode is 1.4 million rubles and $700,000. Now, from a perspective of when you're playing, the amount of rubles is more important, especially at the higher levels. Unless you choose to start very close to a NATO office, you can't take advantage of that money anyway. So we're going to play realistic mode. Now, what I'm going to do for anyone who's new to the game, I'm just going to go through very quickly. You can see you can enable and disable realistic mode. As I've already mentioned, you can adjust the money here. Technically, you can play realistic mode on unlimited if you wanted to. Believe it or not, but so the easy, medium, and hard here relate to this up here, but the amount of cash. Now, moving down, so realistic mode is enabled for this. There's unsatisfied citizens reaction. Again, if you want a slightly easier game, what you can do is drop this down to medium. But to be honest, I find that the happiness, the difference in happiness and all that isn't that great. So it's worth playing that. One thing, energy management is something I would strongly recommend, even if it's your first game, because what that means is that you have to give your buildings electricity and vehicles fuel. And to be honest, that is one of the core elements of the game. So effectively playing with that not enabled is well, you're not really playing the game, to be honest. Now the next one down is water management. Now water management's a bit more complex. So if you're completely new to the game, I would suggest not having water management enabled, because it just adds a new tier of complexity. And of course, down below here, we've now got the new one, which is waste management. Waste management is what's been introduced as part of the new update, which is in Steam. And this is a lot more complicated. And well, I can't comment too much about it because I don't know that much about it. And then below that, we've got the next tier of complexity that's been brought in. It's called maintenance. If it comes here, it says vehicle service reconstruction of buildings. And what this means is that buildings and vehicles need regular maintenance. Otherwise, either the buildings fall down or the vehicles break down. Again, if you're new to the game, I would strongly recommend that you do not play with maintenance enabled, because the little I've seen of it so far, it is a very complex subject where you're really going to need to know the other mechanics of the game before you actually start playing with this. Seasons, summer and winter really relates to farming. Because if you've got this enabled, you only get one crop a year. If you've got it disabled, you can get several crops a year. It's also quite odd the fact that this is called the seasons update, but the weather is actually tied to the day-night cycle. Moving down, building fires, as you can see here, this is just a level of difficulty more than anything else. Global events is still an element of the game that needs to be developed. Don't worry about having global events enabled, but they tend to have quite limited impact on the game, but I've got a feeling that might change in the future. Pollution, again, is very much a passive effect, and as long as you get your building layouts done correctly, it's not a problem. And by building layouts, I mean, is obviously you don't build an apartment blocks next to the steel mill. You've got to have distances of separation which allow for pollution. And there's also another sting in the tail related to pollution, which goes back to the waste management change now. That is the fact that if you don't collect your waste, you get pollution around the buildings because of all the garbage piling up. Education simulation is something I would always recommend, even if you're a complete new player. always play with education on. It's not difficult. It's a passive thing. You just build a school to get a basic education, and you build a university to get an advanced education. It's not something that's difficult. Crime and justice is a little bit more subtle. Uh, Maybe if you're a completely new player, don't play with it enabled. But anyone who's got a reasonable number of hours in the game, you can deal with crime and justice, because like education, it's more of a passive effect. But if you let it get out of control, it can have quite a big impact. Traffic simulation, I would always, even a new player, I'd recommend playing on complex, because I don't know, but I've found that when you've got traffic simulation on complex, the traffic seems to flow better. Mainly probably because you can use road signs. Research is something totally new. If you've watched old tutorials, you'll be aware that people just say, just enable research. It's something that you can ignore. Well, with the new update, there's a lot more research to do, and it imposes restrictions on what you can and can't build, especially at the beginning. And I'll be going into that once we get onto the map. Now, the night and day cycle, I'm going to leave it switched on for this, but I'll probably switch it off when we get into the game. The reason for that is that I've been told that there's actually a new part of the interface related to the day-night cycle. I've got no idea what it is, so we'll take a look at that. Now, these last two entries, it says you can have all vehicles available. If you've got lots of mods, I wouldn't recommend this, simply because you just have so many different vehicles in your selection menus. You won't be able to see what's going on. You can lock start according year. What this means is that vehicles can start and then they never expire. And then you've got this one, lock according to year. This says vehicles available from the year when they have been introduced and will expire after the year where the production has ended. I'm going to switch that on. I mean, it's optional. If I was doing an early start, I would use this one, because some of the early start vehicles have very short lifespans. But I think for a general game starting in 1960, 1970, you can quite easily allow it to lock according to year. And then the final one down the bottom here is it says year start 1960, 1970, 1980. I would always start in 1960. I find the game's too short for well, maybe you could play in 1970, but 1980 the game's a bit too short. You can get to a point where the year's pushing on, and well, it doesn't really make that much difference anyway. So that's all the different settings for a random map. I'm just going to click start the game. Now this screen is just sets the random characteristics of the map. We're not worried about that, because we're not going to be playing a series with this. This is just a look at the way the game actually starts. Now, random maps are exactly that. They're random. The water can be a bit odd. Now, before this update, when you came in here, you could see the available resources to help you make the decision. But you can see here now that the resources aren't available, because the map location here is actually mapped behind a technology. I'll show you that in a minute. So what we need to do first is look around. So the decision now is really based on what you feel about the starting location. If you're new to the game, what you're looking for is a reasonable starting location with a local power connection. I mean, a medium custom shed is okay, but be aware, if you're playing on realistic mode, the custom shed will actually limit the vehicles you can buy in here. Say like for disassembled here, and I think it mainly applies to rail construction. So if we come into where's it? I'm still getting used to this menu. I much preferred the old one with the tabs. This one is a bit track builders. There we are. What you'll find is that your track builders are restricted, and the same with trains due to the length of the platform here. And you can see we got rain straight away. Oh yeah, let's just have a quick look here. Oh, so that's the indicator now. So you can actually see where the sun is, and when it's about to get dark, and then when it's actually dark. Well, that's pretty cool. And of course there, but what we're going to do, guys, is just to give you a demo. Come into game settings. What you can do here is you've got a whole list of things that you can actually switch off and change. And what I'm going to do is we're going to clip on here and put it to always day. And the game will reload. Now, the reason I put it on always day because the day-night cycle is fun, but it's quite a big but. When you're recording for YouTube, it can be a bit of a pain in the neck. We're up here. I'm quite interested about what's down here because we're down here. We're quite close to some water, and we've got some hills. There we are. This is looks a little bit better because we got a large custom shed which gives us the two connections. I don't know if it will actually show us the difference. Now what you will see here is that oh, no used vehicles, and what you can see is in this custom shed you can only buy the things, track builders. No, we've only got the basic track builders here because we're still early in the game. And this is a new button that's been added. It says no, you can buy used vehicles, but I think it takes a little while for the vehicles to appear. Now, if you want to give yourself a little bit more of an edge when you're choosing the starting location, you can go prospecting. And by prospecting, I mean that if we come down to here, you see that the pump jacks, the coal mines, and the coal processing are still open, and that also applies to the iron mine. So what you can do if you've got the patience, I don't want to spend too long doing this, but what I will give you as a bit of a tip is that if you're looking for coal and iron on a random map, look round the mountains. Okay guys, it's taken a little while to find it, but we found an iron mine here. That means there's probably coal here somewhere. So if you want to give yourself a little bit of an edge, you can go prospecting. Go back over to where we're going to start. We're going to just take a look in here. As I say, we're not going to build anything substantial. What you'll see straight away down here now is a lot of things are actually blocked out because what we got to do is do research. Now, if you want an overview of research, if you come down to this where it says questions and answers, click on this guy, come in here, and you'll get a breakdown of all the text that you need to research to open things. And a lot more things are restricted now than they used to be. And if you want to know where your resources are on the map, and you're looking at this group here, the Faculty of Geology. Now, the first tech does nothing really. All it does is open up the tree. The geological map at the top here, when we research that will show coal, iron, and oil. To see bauxite, you've got to research this, and to see uranium, we've got to research that. You've also got but in order to be able to research the uranium, you've also got to the Faculty of Nuclear Science there. Now, one of the big things that you've got to research from the get-go up with our party HQ is where is it here. This is your logistics offices. Now the first one doesn't really open up, and what it does is it opens up the tech, and then I think the next one opens up the vehicles. This one opens up railways. If you're playing with research enabled, remember that applies whether you're playing on easy mode or realistic mode. So we've got this here. Now one thing I do want to try out on realistic mode, apologies for this, is that if I build a mud road, if I decide to delete that, will the game just remove it? Yep. I know it's a very trivial thing, but I don't trust the game that much. I want to prove to myself. So we've got a mud road there, and the other thing I want to do is just come in here, and the first thing we got to do is build a vehicle depot. Actually, we don't need a vehicle depot. We can buy the vehicles from there, but I'll build one anyway because I want to see if I can delete this. What I should build. Yeah, so if now the next thing I want to test is we template a gravel road and we remove this. So effectively the deconstruction only applies until when you actually built something or something's part built. So, and while you're actually while it's not being built or anything like that, or a mud road, you don't have to worry too much. That's good. Obviously I could do probably an hour and a half on some of the elements of starting, and I don't want to make this into a tutorial. on how to start in realistic mode. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to go through and look at what the buildings are available in the menu here. But first, I just want to show you something else as well, which is in workshop. What you will find now is that the tech now extends to mods. So the days now of where you could get rounds some of the restrictions on, say, a chemistry building are over. And this is probably one of the more interesting ones, is actually if you come into here, go to residential, what you'll find is that some of your residential mods will also be blocked. And I think it's tied to the quality of the buildings. So the trick of using a high quality mod building now is not available. So you can see here, so all these buildings here, it says requested search. So, and I must admit, I'm a little bit disappointed with this because some of my favorite buildings here are actually, if I switch on my favorites, I just want to have a quick look actually, sorry about this. Oh, we can build those. We can't build the old gate block, one of my favorites. Labs, prefabs. And all the large ones are not locked as well now. Now, what this basically means is that when you start out now, you've got to start with lower quality housing. Anyway, I'm just going to turn that off. Must admit, I'm not a great fan of this. I much preferred it when the tabs were across the top. But I suppose there's so many groups now that are actually, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, this game has grown exponentially. Now, another thing, I think somebody actually dropped a comment on this, and a big thank you to them for reminding me, is that this update now introduces some buildings which were mods and have now been integrated into the game. And I think probably the best example I can think of where I've actually noticed it is we come to farming now, and we actually look at the grain storage. What you'll see is there's a whole load of grain stores in here which were once mods. In fact, I can probably show you the modded versions. We come into here, storage. If I come across it, no, it's that one there. What you will find is that these are the ones here. So if I put this one in, see that one there, this is 3200. Obviously you can't see it that well, but I find the 3200 one in here. See, so if I put that one there, the one on the right is the in-game store, the one on the left is the storage. So what can happen if you've been playing the game some time, you may get some duplications. So that's something that you do need to be aware of. I want to shoot, just review. Yeah, so and I'll be completely honest, I'm just going to live with the duplications because I've got pages on pages of mods. I think I've got over 70 pages of mods now, and I just don't have the time to go through and work out which ones are which. Anyway, so right, back to what we're going to do is I'm just going to have a quick flip through it. Oh yes, something else I want to talk about is, oh well, we got nobody here, but I did get a comment from somebody about the new breakdown for happiness and health, and they said that there's a very faint grey number next to the percentage which shows the number of people that that problem or benefit affects. So if you want to know how important something is, look at the number of people, and probably one of the scariest ones is minus 35% for a death of a child, I think it is. But when you look to the left in the grey figure, you'll find it affects about 20 or 30 people. So that's something you do need to bear in mind when you're looking at this tab up here. For anyone who's not seen that tab, it will make sense when if you start to play. And of course, because we turned the daylight cycle off now, the drop down here is gone as well. Right, so Now, down the left-hand side here, we've got a new one here. It says automate vehicle replacement. This is part of vehicle maintenance. And I think that's the only changes here now. I think list vehicles now, if you buy that, if we buy a vehicle, let me just put the depot back in. Actually, no. Well, we got some free stuff, haven't we? Let me just put a free construction office down. We've also got new construction offices now, which have been extended. So what you've got now is 12, 16, 6, and 24. So if we put a free construction office in, so you get so when you start in realistic mode, you actually get free construction offices. We'll just buy a single truck. What are we going to buy? Buy a covered hole. Let the game run. What happens is the vehicles always come from the custom shed in realistic mode. They don't appear at lower levels like in easy and other ones. The vehicle actually appears in the construction office directly. But when you play in realistic mode, what you've got to do, all vehicles have to come from the border, which means that the building must have a connection to the border. And obviously, if you're playing right out in the center of the map, it can take quite a long time to actually get there. So we've now got a vehicle in there, and if we come to list vehicles now, what you'll see is we've now got an entry. Apologies for the size of the text because it is quite faint. What you'll see now is that on the end here, it gives you the vehicle's age, its wear and tear, repair, and value. But you can also, if you click on the vehicle now, what you'll see is that the same stats are duplicated in here. And it says this vehicle has low wear and tear to repair. So basically it's set at 50%. I've got no idea what that means. And what you also got here is an odometer. But of course the vehicle, so as the vehicle moves around, what will happen is that the vehicle will put on mileage. I've got half an idea of seeing if I could get a 1,000,000-mile vehicle. I don't know if the odometer will go up to that. It'll probably go up to 999,999. And maybe we'll see if we can get up to there, whether the odometer will roll over like it does in cars in the past before we had electronic dashboards. This replace vehicle. Well, it says replace vehicle. I've got no idea what that does actually, guys. I don't know anything about vehicle maintenance yet. I haven't even started to look at that. I think based on that, let's see what we got in the way of free stuff. So we've got here. We should still have free gas stations. We got a free gas station. This is just a line of the free. So we got a free gas station. Dry bulk cargo stations. Only got the cargo station still. Fuel loading. We got a free bus stop. How many bus stops of that have we got? Yeah, we can go up to 15 free bus stops. So we can only get small bus stops. We can get free technical office. We can get 5 of those. Not seeing, these are vehicle repair stations. You can see they come in small, medium, and large. Depot, small bus, road vehicle. We can get free depot, which is here. We got a free depot. How many of those do we get? We get 7 of those. Let's just get rid of that bit of road there. When you start in realistic mode, I mean, I know I said when I was saying set up that you've got to build everything from scratch, but you do get these free buildings, which can help a little bit. Free technical office. We've got the technical office, haven't we? Yeah. And of course, the technical offices now have multiple roles. They don't just clear snow; they've got to deliver water, and more importantly, now that they collect scrap and a wide range of scrap as well down here. So that's something else you need to be aware of. And I think probably from a free point of view, oh, look at that. This is misleading. Because these symbols here give you an idea of what research you need to do. But so that gives the impression that but if you go on here, so we need You can get a free distribution office. There's 5 of those. I think there's only, how many slots do you get? Doesn't tell you. You don't get many slots, I know that much. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, you only get 3 slots in there. So what else have we got here? That's container unloading, cargo station. You won't get anything free there. Cableways now. Oh, you can still build cableways. I thought they were locked behind research. Right, we've got a free open store. But let's just put them down. We don't need, they don't need to be on a road. How many of these have we got? Looks like we've got infinite numbers of open stores, which is pretty good. I mean, they can't store a lot. Now, bear in mind that the 95 tons is for a full load, so it's not each one of these can hold 95 tons. What that means is this can actually hold. So we can get a free open store. We get 3 gravel storage. Where's the aggregate storage? Let's just have a look. We can get 3 aggregate stores as well. That's good. So we got open stores, warehouses. We get any free warehouses? You never used to be able to get a free warehouse. No, you've got no free warehouses. Quite oddly, the grain storage is in the warehouse in there as well. So we've got 3 open stores, 3 gravel stores. Quite nice looking stores. They don't hold a lot, and they probably don't have a lot of vehicle slots as well, which is probably one of the problems with them. Now, so these will be quite slow. I suppose we better look at the garbage. Small garbage stand. Obviously, then you don't get anything free there. So a lot of the garbage, a lot of the waste management is behind there. We've got a gravel recycling plant. Now, this gravel recycling plant is but you can get this even if you're not playing with waste man enabled. I'm not too sure why. Got a waste treatment plant. This waste treatment plant, the reason this is not locked is the fact that a hospital now, if I come into here, I was actually looking at this. Oops. It doesn't actually show you here, but hospitals now produce hazardous waste. So when you build your first hospital, I mean, you can sell waste on the customs post there, but you need to be aware that you need something that will actually do something. We can get in small incinerators free. What's this? This is so the base incinerator is available. Good. And we got gravel recycling, but of course the other recycling needs to be unlocked. Scrapping facilities small. Okay. Now, this scrapping facility is for worn out vehicles, but when you're first starting out, you don't really need that. What we got here? Ship scrapping. Doesn't mention anything about trains. I don't know how you'd scrap a train then. I'm sure we're going to find that out. We got a dump, medium dump, and we've got free dumps. How many free dumps can we get? 5 free dumps. How many was each dump back there? I assume you can set this. So you can actually set the characteristics of the dump. It's only 140 tons. Now, again, from the perspective of waste management, the dumping is going to be the big thing. Transfer for big garbage containers like that. Dump free. That's 270. So this is going to be one of the problems. What do you do with all your rubbish? And but again, I can't comment too much on that because I don't know enough. And you don't get anything free in here. Residential buildings, grocery store. I think we've now got another shopping centre in it. The symbols with the blue and the yellow is from a DLC, by the way. So if you haven't got the DLC, you won't see that. None of this is changed. Here, you can see here the television station and the radio stations are locked behind Uh, tech now, indoor pools available. Looks like we've got a little bit more in here with respect to leisure. State infrastructure. We've got a small clinic. That looks very much like a mod. I recognise that. Oh, look at that. We've actually got 3 sizes of fire station as well. That's good. Kindergarten. Still got the ones at kindergarten. 1 school, 1 orphanage. Medical university, technical university, and headquarters of the Communist Party. Now remember that the way that the research goes, you need eventually to complete all the research, you need 1 each of those universities. See, if we go to the top, you'll see that the white is medical, the blue is technical, and the red is party headquarters. So from a university perspective, you've got to do that. The secret police now is locked behind tech, which means that you won't be able to find out your loyalty until you've got the research the necessary tech. City Hall accounting, technical services. Never knew technical services were up here. That's new. Tourism. Yeah, tourism again. Now this is where you've got to be a bit careful because it says you can build the buildings here, and you can actually build these buildings. But if I come into the research and we go down to the party HQ, here it is here. You've got to research tourism study. You've got the advanced hotels, but before tourists will actually now turn up at the border, you've got to research this tech. So where it'd be interesting to see whether there are actually any tourists on the border. No, and it's actually says here need research to issue visa for tourists, and that will also apply to NATO now. So the tourists no longer pile up on the border for free. You've got to do the research to get that done. Tourism. I think now one of the curiosities here, and if any of you guys know, there's a couple of trees, landscape trees. I've got a feeling these might be linked to a future DLC. Now another one is that my favourite monument, which is the Red Star Monument, now is locked behind research. You can only use small ones there. The only thing I don't know is whether no, I mean it most likely will apply to the other ones. Christmas lights. I haven't used those for a very long time. What we've got now is farming. No, the only main change in farming is the fact that farms now need fertilizer, and that's matched by the fact that you've got to have a synthetic fertilizer factory to make fertilizer from chemicals. So that needs to be researched. But from the get-go, if you decide to build a farm, you can actually import the chemicals from here. Oops, no. We actually show you, I think it's called liquid fertilizer here. It's 35,000 per ton. Wow, expensive. So that's the farming. Looks like we've got a large meat storage as well. Wow, it's about time we had one of those. And I'm assuming that, yeah, we got the grain silos in here as well, alongside warehouses. So we got a nice selection of warehouses and grain silos now, rather than the one that was this one. That's good. Let's have a quick look through wood cutting posts. One thing I would say about wood cutting posts, there is now a tech that will allow trees to be planted. Again, I can't remember offhand where it is. Let me just see. Here it is here. So you've got to do forest study first and then wood cutting planting policy. It says it's important to think about the nature of the forest. Research will introduce a strict policy for wood cutting officers. 1 tree down will mean 1 tree planted. So that means that if you've got a wood cutting industry up and running, you no longer have to keep going back and manually planting trees once you've got that research done, which is great. Clothing factories the same, cavalries. Looks like we got a range of dry bulk storage as well. Again, that's good because that was always a bit of a pain. So we got a different. So the dry bulk storage is actually tied to the cement plants. Now the next one across is the prefab panels factory. which needs research, and that ties into the residential blocks as well. A lot of these residential blocks now, it says requires prefabs. Now, so any residential building that requires prefabs now will be locked behind that tech as well. That's all good stuff, isn't it? Asphalt plant, brick factory, concrete plant. What's here? The fossil fuels. Now, now when I came in the map, I said you could do some prospecting, but you've still got to refine oil. You've got to get built, do the tech and research oil refinery. That also applies to chemical plants and plastics factories. It also now applies to the steel mill, and of course you've got the whole of the bauxite production line is now locked behind tech. There's the dry bulk storage. Aggregate stores now, we've got a whole range of different aggregate stores. Again, most of these were once mods. That's dry bulk. Where's the aggregate store? So we got some quite cool looking aggregate stores in here now. That one, that holds. Certainly be wanting to use some more of these. The only thing is they don't seem to have rail connections. That could be, and we got the free aggregate store there. So we go to advanced technology. You see virtually all the advanced technology is locked behind tech. That's nuclear, electronics, and engineering now. So you can't jump forward that very quickly. There's space for vehicles and road containers. Now the reason this is available is the fact that in realistic mode, you do need to store vehicles, and of course with maintenance, I think there's the automated replacement. Don't quote me on this. Here, it says from depots. So I think if you say, for example, you're producing vehicles for a vehicle construction factory, you've got to put the vehicles in a depot like this for that to be able to replace it. And you can see here this auto replacement. And as somebody actually pointed out, that there's now an ampersand, so the replacement criteria is a combination of things. And basically what that means is that when a vehicle reaches a certain point, it will be sent to the scrapyard. And of course, you've got to build a scrapyard. It's also worth noting that I think I don't know if it's a bug or where it's intended, if your vehicle can be sent to the scrapyard, and the vehicle, if there's nothing to replace that vehicle, the vehicle is not replaced. So the vehicle doesn't keep going, as far as I know. If it's eligible for scrapping, it gets scrapped, and then the problem is that there's no vehicle to replace it. So this is where these switches come in. But I'll be completely upfront. I need to test that. So we've already looked at the new construction offices. We've got two sizes of rail construction office now with four trains. So you've got, that's the normal one, and this is the bigger one now. Of course, these can't build because we're still in realistic mode. So we got kind of two rail construction offices now. Now we got a whole range of demolition buildings. Demolition office small, demolition large. Oh, we got free demolition office. Okay, missed that one. Take a look at this one. So this is where you put your vehicles. It's like the inverse of a construction office. So you put in your vehicles there, and what they do is they go and collect the waste that goes up there. There's also this button here where you can actually use explosives. You can blow a building up, but as far as I know, if you blow a building up, you can't separate the waste. So it's more efficient if you've got time to actually deconstruct the building and recover the various bits and pieces from those buildings. Well, that's as far as I know. There's so much about this update I don't know about. Asphalt plant, prefab factories. Okay, we got demolition office, cement plant. Yeah, there's a lot of this is duplication of what we've already looked at. Even got a wood cutting post here, and that is about it, guys. And I think I better stop now because I've probably gone along a lot longer than I should have. As you can see, there's a lot involved in this new update, but what I am happy about is the fact we've got a bit of an array of free buildings to work with when we start in realistic mode. uh, but it's still going to take a lot to get the momentum going. And of course, we've got the new, actually, yeah, we've got the new vehicles as well, which is the waste trucks. I just finished off with those. Oh, you can see we've actually got used vehicles now, because I've been letting the game run for a month, and we've actually got a few used vehicles here. Now, the thing you need to be careful about with used vehicles is some of them, I think, come damaged. So you've got to be a bit careful. Some of them may need repairing. But, I mean, it's a lot cheaper. I mean, we got an what's it? An SKD 706 RT for 3,000. If we come to here, covered hull. What was that again? Whoops. It's a 706 RT. So the full price is 4,366. The used one is 1,000 cheaper. I think what actually happens is the price depends on the wear and tear. So like for this roller here, it says it's 43% damaged, 3 years old, so it's 1,300. If we go to this one and go to where's the roller? I must admit I don't like these. This one's 715, so it's not only 400, but then if the money's tight, that will make a difference. And I've forgotten completely about what I was going to be looking at. Oh yeah, the new vehicles that are around now are waste trucks. Please ignore the mods, because it looks very much like Nova's already added waste vehicles to the game. So these horse-drawn vehicles are mods. We've got a 1929 garbage truck as well. I don't know where that's. So it looks like the vehicle mods are already appearing. So we got a couple of gunny trucks. We've got a steam waste one, but the ones that are available in 1960 are the two at the top here. The SKD 706 RT, big garbage, and I think this is a small garbage truck. There's a difference between the two garbage trucks, but I'll be completely upfront. I don't know exactly what the difference is at the moment and what the significance is. Anyway, guys, before I get distracted again, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. Any comments, questions, feel free to chuck it in the video description. And so until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.